Another exciting weekend of NASCAR racing, perhaps the best Xfinity Series race I've seen in all my life, and a historic weekend finisher at Richmond happened this weekend. Welcome, guys, to the C+J Speedway review. My name is Chris Burns. You know the other podcast I'm from, but we're about this one tonight. Speaking of about this one tonight, I look across the screen. I see the bearded wonder, the ninth wonder of the world himself, Mr. Corey Huffnagel. Corey, what's going on, bro?
I'm doing pretty good, and all I can just say is I feel a lot better than what I was last week, and so yeah, I can just say right now I'm 100% ready to go. And I tell you, I would say that doing the show last week with like a groggy voice and being sick, I think I deserve an award for that. But yeah, it took a lot of guts, but I'm ready to do this, and and we also had a good race at Richmond this past weekend, and not to mention we saw Kyle Busch winning 3 straight races. And it's actually funny because when I was watching the race on Saturday night, I said to myself, we're looking at a championship preview coming up in November, and I think, and this is my theory, I really think it's going to be Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick that's going to battle it down for the title in November.
Oh, no, we've talked about that more than once, especially now coming off only the second time have we had 3 back-to-back race winners in a season. Kevin Harvick did it 3 times. Now Kyle Busch has done it 3 times in the same season. History. And you know me, I'm not exactly going to stand up and light a match for Kyle Busch unless he was in front of me. But, you got to give this guy credit. What a fantastic driver. He had to come from the back of the field all the way up. He had a pretty decent car throughout the race. And toward the end, no one was going to touch him, even though we thought really toward the end that he was going to get that little run from Chase Elliott and even Denny Hamlin. Nope, didn't happen. And, Kyle Busch, wherever you are, hats off to you. Again, history. I love watching history be.
Yeah, well, it looks like we just lost Chris there for just about a split second. And wait a minute.
What'd you do?
Nah, you went off there for a second.
Nope. I'm sorry. Everything's fine on this end.
All right.
So I got things going off everywhere. This is just wonderful. What I was saying before I was interrupted with you, it's great to see history. Good job by Kyle Busch. Had a great car. I'm sure a lot of us thought that Chase Elliott or Denny Hamlin was going to give him a run in the end. Nope, not even close.
No,
not even close. He, when Elliott, and obviously we're going to talk about it a little later on. When Elliott did come near him, he found a way to pull away. There was just no stopping Kyle Busch this weekend.
No, I don't think so either. And I would say that, not only those 2 guys when they pulled it off, but, you go back to Martin Truex Jr., he had a really good car throughout the whole entire night. And he had that race won until the last pit stop right at the end where I guess something had happened where, one of the crew guys took a long time changing the tire whatsoever. And I guess everybody else was like taking different strategies and so forth. And so Truex came out from 1st to 9th and, but, other than that, Truex, he already has a win this year and, there's going to be a lot more races for him to win.
Absolutely. And not to beat a dead horse, but it seems like that pit road penalties and the number 4 team seem to be going hand in hand. He got penalty close to the front and had a good car to get toward the front and possibly take the lead. I'm not going to say he was going to win the race, but let's be completely honest here. If that penalty doesn't get him, he was in 2nd or 3rd when he got hit with that penalty. He could certainly have given Kyle a run for his money.
Yeah.
So, again, what a great weekend at Richmond. But the biggest news, the best news, the news that we're all excited about is coming back to NASCAR Monster Energy Cup racing. I'm excited. I've got friends that have been asking me about this. We talked about it last night on the Loki Jabari show. Friends all over the country texting me, what is his deal? What is his deal? This is what I know right now, guys, is that Kansas will be the first race for Matt Kenseth in the 6th car, replacing Trevor Bayne. Now, Bayne and Kenseth are going to split time in the 6th car.
Yeah.
I said it last night, and I didn't want to blow it all last night. I think what you're going to see is Matt Kenseth going to take over the 6 car. I'm not saying Trevor Bayne doesn't have what it takes, but Trevor Bayne just doesn't have what it takes. And Matt Kenseth, you could put him behind the wheel of a dump truck. He's going to find his way to the front of the field.
Right. And I probably say that, you go back to Matt Kenseth, and let's be clear on this, guys. So just in case you guys didn't know, he didn't say he was retiring. He said he was going to walk away for a little while until an opportunity came to him. And then just about a day later, Jack Roush ends up calling him saying, hey, would you like to drive the 6 car, for a couple races and a part-time deal? So he pretty much said yes, because let's be honest, like if he was going to go to a team where, he was going to run like in the top 20, top 25, like every week, he wouldn't even done that. But you go to this situation. So you have a veteran driver that's won 13 races, that's won 2 Daytona 500s and a championship, that's going to be helping out this guy, Trevor Bayne, who's been in the Cup Series for like the last couple of years. And you go to his results, they're not really that impressive. I mean, given the fact that he only has like 1 win, which was the Daytona 500 for like the Wood Brothers at that time. But you go back to like the seasons where he's driven for Jack Roush for like the last couple of years. He's only scored like 2 top 5s in 2015, 5 top 10s in 2016, and 6 top 10s in 2017. Well, actually, a year ago, he had 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s. But the problem is, this team wasn't even on the map. And you look at last year where Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won 2 races, and then he goes on to the playoffs. So he was the only Roush car that was the only one that was talked about last year. But you go to the 6th team, there weren't even like anywhere on the map. So now that you have a guy that's going to be coming in that has won a lot of races and has won championships whatsoever, I really think it's going to help out the 6th team quite a bit, and possibly, this could help put him back up on the map. And actually, I was also thinking about this today. So go back a couple of years ago when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was running in the Xfinity Series for the first time back in 2010. So that year, he ends up crashing a lot of cars. He was finishing in the top 30. He was finishing like 30th or worse almost every single week. And then right around before the summer, that's where Jack Roush said, okay, look, we don't want you wrecking our cars. If you want to like run for our race team, you got to start running better whatsoever, stuff like that and so on. And there was also a time where Stenhouse had to sit out because, he had to start learning like, what it takes to drive in the Xfinity Series whatsoever. So then after all the other guys that were driving his car most of the entire time, he said, okay, now I got it. So go to the 2 years later, he ends up winning races and wins a championship. Well, actually wins 2 championships that year in 2011, 2012. Then he goes to the Cup Series, wins Rookie of the Year honors in 2013. And then other than that, was also decent the first few years before he ended up winning, the 2 races last year. But I'd probably say out of this deal, I really think it's going to help, the 16 quite a bit. But now this also comes for a question. Okay, since these 2 guys are splitting the 6 car part-time this year, Jack Roush also has to question, like, okay, what am I going to do for 2019? Because chances are, there could be a possibility where, you might have Matt Kenseth back in the 6 car full-time next year, and Roush will probably say to Bayne, okay, Kenseth's going to be our driver next year, you're probably going to have to look for a ride somewhere in the Cup Series, like whatsoever. So I probably say out of this, I'm happy that Kenseth is back. And if he could get a win, possibly at like Kansas or anywhere else whatsoever, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Oh, absolutely not. In fact, just him being in that race, it immediately puts him in that top 10 pick. Who, when they go through and break it down on Race Hub or NASCAR America, here are the 10 guys. Or what is that Fox thing? Bernie the computer robot gimmick.
Yeah, Bernie. Yep.
Here are the top 10 finishes. These are the guys we think is going to win. Immediately, you have to inject Matt Kenseth into that because he's no stranger to any of these tracks. He's only been off for a few months. This was like a vacation for him.
Yeah.
He's got to be in any conversation at any track going forward that he races at in this part-time situation. I just had this feeling that this is not going to be a part-time gig. This is going to turn out to be, like you said, Trevor, hey, gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was a great experiment, but, we're looking to make money here. and you're not it, but Matt Kenseth is it. I don't know if you saw the article today on MSN, but there was 5 reasons why you should be psyched that Matt Kenseth is coming back, and some of these I buy, and some of these I don't buy, but I'm going to read them off. One is his subtle but brilliant sense of humor. He is actually a pretty funny guy. The quote from Dale Earnhardt Jr. is, he's going to hate me for this, but a lot of people don't know his personality real well, and he comes across as super dry. But I like his humor, and a lot of time when he's telling a joke, you have to pay attention to get it. He's from Wisconsin. It's kind of a smart aleck thing that they have.
Yeah.
Goes right into number 2. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He just, no matter what happens to him, you rarely see Matt Kenseth angry. He knows what he does for a living is fun. He also knows it's a job. But at the same time, a couple years ago when he missed the spot in the playoffs, he tweeted a picture of Goofy. All right, so it tells you a little about Matt Kenseth. The third thing is his coming full circle, his Cup career. He started with Roush Fenway Racing. He's going to end with Roush Fenway Racing. And that was the team he won a championship with, 24 races, 2 Daytona 500s. It's hard to knock that success that he had with the Roush team. He'll once again be the oldest driver in the garage, which I'm sure that Harvick and Johnson are glad about, because right now they are the elder statesmen, if you will.
Yep.
And basically, I want you to think about this stat that I'm about to give you. This season, the youngest driver to win was 27-year-old Austin Dillon. Everyone else has been over the age of 33. Think about that. I'm not saying that the young guys can't do it, but the old guys are showing, it's the old Ric Flair saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, it's the old man brigade. So it'll be great to see Kenseth come back and throw himself into that mix of, I hate using the term older drivers, but, he's going to be that competitive veteran. How's that? Better?
I'd say it is, and not to mention, the Fords, they have been running pretty good this year, and we just hope that the 6 car, can run up near the front every weekend.
Absolutely. So before we go further, I want to make mention when we break into the Xfinity race in a minute, we're going to look like geniuses. When we go to the Cup race, we are going to look like a monkey doing a math problem. I'll let you guys know that ahead of time. But Corey, I mentioned it at the top of the program. The best Xfinity race I have ever seen in the history of me watching NASCAR. This was the Toyota Care 250. Christopher Bell walks away with his win, immediately propelling him into the playoff picture. Now, my question for you is, you saw the whole race. I saw the last 50 or so laps. How good was Christopher Bell in this race?
I'd probably say Christopher Bell, was I wasn't really surprised that he won. I think he pretty much won at the right time, and not to mention he had a dominant car, throughout the whole entire race. And what's actually kind of fun was him and his teammate Noah Gragson were battling it out for the win, and it was funny too because I figured, Gregson's running in his debut, and I didn't even think he was going to be this good, and he's only running 3 races this year, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins at either, Talladega on Saturday or Dover in 2 weeks. But actually what I was kind of thinking of is they should have really put him they should have had him run 3 races, but they should have had him run at different racetracks. Let's say, for instance, he should have run 1 race at a short track, 1 race on a super speedway, the other one on a road course. So then that ought to weigh, if he's ready, to go to the Xfinity Series full time next year, then, he'll pretty much have those tracks figured out. But other than that, I was also happy that there were no Cup drivers in the field. And, I got to see all the Xfinity guys, make a name for themselves. And, some of them, they ran pretty good. And I have to admit, the one guy that I was kind of disappointed at was Daniel Hemrick. I mean, he had a really good car. I'd say the first 2 stages of the race, and then near the end of stage 2, he had a tire going down, and he was deciding whether if he was going to pit or not, and so forth. And I think it was 7 laps to go before the end of stage 2. He ends up cutting a tire, and then I guess he went 2 laps down and so forth. But other than that, it was a great race. Not really surprised about the Gibbs guys, finishing 1 and 2. I really expected them, to run pretty good. And other than that, I thought it was a great race, and, save for the best of it.
Oh, Look, again, I go back to those last 50 laps. Bell's at the front. Gregson's trying to catch him. They're at times door to door. At times they're car lengths apart. Noah drove the wheels off that car trying to catch Christopher Bell. And to his credit, Noah Gragson looked like a veteran driver at Richmond. He ran a great line. He wasn't, rookie jitter wasn't there. He didn't get caught up in stupidity in the tail end. Whereas, you look at other guys who are young and impressionable and going in for the first time at certain racetracks in certain cars, and they get nervous as if they can't handle the pressure. And we're going to talk a lot about that when we get to talking about Talladega very soon.
Oh, yeah.
This kid and Christopher Bell, another young kid, impressed everyone that watched that race. They impressed me. I'm sure they continue to impress you because you talk about these guys nearly nonstop.
Yeah.
When we were doing the trucks, now on the Xfinity series, these guys are going to be, in my opinion, Noah Gragson I think is only running the part-time deal this year.
Yeah.
Trading the seat with Ryan Preece, who has a win in that car. We're looking at, like we did last year, it's a Christopher Bell world. We're just living in it when it comes to the Xfinity series. Yes, you have guys like Sadler and Allgaier and all these guys that are really good and can contend at any particular point in time. But when you look, Christopher Bell's had one, maybe two disappointing finishes this season.
Yep.
And he's second in the points.
Yes.
So he's really going to be the guy to watch. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, anytime you're driving in Joe Gibbs equipment, you're bound to win the race. And I think with Christopher Bell, he's going to be fun to watch this year. And, now that he has that first win in him and now that he's already locked into the playoffs, we're going to find out and see how he does, in the playoffs coming up in September. And, wouldn't surprise me if he goes to the championship 4 in November.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call by you. So I'm going to go over the results here. We're going to go over our happies and sads and who we picked going into this race. Once again, guys, we're going to look like Albert Einstein. The next one, when we talk about the Cup race, we're going to look like Forrest Gump. So here we go. As we mentioned, Christopher Bell comes home first. Noah Gragson second. Elliott Sadler third. Matt Tifft fourth. Austin Cindric fifth. Cole Custer sixth. Ryan Truex seventh. Jeremy Clements eighth. Ryan Reed 9, and Brandon Jones rounds out your top 10. Notables, Jeb Burton runs a good race coming home in 12th. John Hunter Nemechek 13th. Justin Allgaier, middle of the road. How was Justin during that race?
Well, Justin Allgaier, I know he got caught up in that wreck right near the end and so forth, and along with the other guys. I think it was either Burton and then Majeski and then Annette and the 23 car who was, I forget who his name is, but yeah, so he, I don't think he got that much damage, but he ended up coming home 14th.
Spencer Gallagher.
Yep. And yeah, so he ended up not getting too much damage, but he finished outside the top 10. So, kind of a decent run, but then yet again, I think this team, is going to be a one to watch this season, especially with the other junior motorsports guys as well.
Absolutely. But again, for Allgaier, a 14th place finish, not exactly where you want it to be. And really, the only other two disappointments you mentioned, Hemrick getting caught up in some bad luck, 29th, yep. Kaz Gralla 30th, Chase Briscoe 26th. Bad week for those guys, just real bad.
Yeah.
So moving on to the standings, Elliott Sadler leading the hunt with 311. Christopher Bell is in second with 282. Tyler Reddick third at 280. Daniel Hemrick fourth, 273. Justin Allgaier fifth at 263. And a virtual tie with Cole Custer, 263 and sixth. Ryan Truex seventh, 242. Spencer Gallagher eighth with 228. Brandon Jones ninth, 227. And Matt Tifft rounds out your top 10 with 213. Other notables, Austin Cindric, 171 and 13th. Kaz Gralla 15th with 138. And really, that's about it for the Chase Briscoe, 74 points in 25th. Now, Chase is not running a full schedule on the Xfinity Series, am I right?
No.
Okay, so that's not too disappointing. It's actually pretty respectable on his part. So let me take back what I said. Speaking of disappointment, there's nothing worse for me than to sit down and watch a race and be excited about it, only to see the 18 go to victory lane. But I am happy for him. Again, history-making weekend. Congratulations to the 18 of Kyle Busch. I talked about the race he ran in this race. What did you think of Kyle Busch's performance overall?
I'd probably say from starting 32nd to win the race, I have like literally questioned about that like quite a bit. But there's actually been some drivers that have started like deep in the field before, and I can actually excuse me, I can actually think of one. Go back to 2000 in the Southern 500 when Bobby Labonte started 39th in a backup car, and he ended up winning the race. And there's times where where you'll have like a bad qualifying run, and you'll start like way deep in the pack in the 30s, and but the good thing is like the amazing part is you'll find yourself to the front within like a couple laps or so. And it took Kyle Busch, I think, I forget, maybe like 50 laps or somewhere like that, to get to the front. But you know, but like I
Yeah,
said,
I
this
think
is
he
Kyle
cracked the
Busch.
top 10 like real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you look at Kyle Busch. I mean, this is a guy that has won more races in all three series than anybody has ever won in their whole entire life and so forth. But, anytime you talk about Kyle Busch, like whenever he starts at the back, there's no problem. He'll just go to the front within like, I don't know, a couple laps, what so forth and so ever. But you look at Kyle Busch's results, before he ended up winning those three straight races, he was coming home either like second, third, second in like the top five almost every single week. And we pretty much said to ourselves, he's going to end up winning a race sometime soon. It's just a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he ends up winning, what was it? I believe it was Texas, his first race, and then Bristol, and then Richmond this past weekend. So now my question is, can he win four in a row? It's possible. I mean, I know he's won at Talladega once, but it hasn't been really his success the last couple of years and so forth.
Right.
But when we get to Talladega, of course, it is unpredictable. You just can't tell like where you're going to be, throughout the whole entire race. But if you avoid the big wreck and if you're like right there at the end, then you have a shot. But honestly, I'd be surprised if Kyle Busch can win four in a row. But I just don't think it's gonna happen. But like I said, I think this guy's going to win a lot more races, before the playoffs start. And then once the playoffs start, I think the 18 car is just going to be the one to watch.
Absolutely. And one person's not going to make the playoffs if he continues to perform like he does today is me, because we forgot to go over the Xfinity picks and our happies and sads for the race. I apologize to everybody. We got caught up in talking about, who was it we were talking about? I don't remember. Tag with it. So our picks for the Xfinity at Richmond, I had Christopher Bell as my lock, and I had Kaz Gralla as my sleeper. Not the worst picks ever. Obviously, I got the winner. Corey Huffnagel comes home with the Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla super genius hat because his lock won the race and his sleeper came in second. Christopher Bell and Noah Gragson. You can't argue with that success. So you have the bragging rights on the Xfinity Series this week. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Having said that, one of the things I took away from this race is, unlike last week where we had a bottom 10 that looked like a top 10, most of your, we like to call them usual suspects, were all above the 20 mark in this race. Notable exceptions. Ryan Blaney got into a little trouble. He finished 22nd. Bubba Wallace had a real great car. He came close to leading a lap, and he fell backwards. Past that, all your big names were 20 and above, and there were a couple surprises in that top 20 that we'll talk about when we do the rundown. Beyond Kyle Busch, there has to be something said about Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
And I know I said last week that Chase Elliott's not going to find victory lane anytime soon. He had a real good shot, and I don't know if it was a rookie mistake, aerodynamics, tires, what have you. It just looked like every time he got close, Kyle Busch wasn't that much better. If you watch the telemetry, they were within tenths of a second of each other in lap times toward the closing laps, as was Hamlin. Either Kyle Busch has a rocket underneath him, which we all know, like I said about Kenseth, you could put Kyle Busch on a tricycle, and he's going to find his way to victory lane. But in this race, two guys had a real shot at defeating Kyle Busch. The third being Kevin Harvick, if he didn't have the pit penalty. What are these guys doing wrong that Kyle did right?
Well, I probably say track position was one thing, and then of course pit strategy that was also another as well because, you had some guys that were taking like either 4 tires or 2 tires or whatsoever. And, but I probably say with the 18 team, they just played it right this weekend. I mean, even though they had a back qualifying run on Friday, they managed to get up to the front and they knew how to win the race. And, and you look at Chase Elliott, I mean, of course, he comes home second once again, but, I was watching the last restart and, once Kyle pulled away, I said, I don't think there's no way Chase can get to him. He can get to his back bumper, but there's no way he would have passed him on that last restart. But it's actually kind of funny because he kind of broke a record that he finished runner-up, I believe, for like the 8th time like in his career. And there was actually a little bit of a record saying that Bill Elliott finished runner-up 8 times before he ended up getting his first career win, in the Cup Series. But, you look at Chase Elliott, I mean, yeah, he was close on Saturday, and I still think he's going to win a race sometime soon, as long as him and the Hendrick guys, can find out like what's going on, with their teams whatsoever. And you look at the results on Saturday night, Chase Elliott comes home second, Jimmy Johnson comes home 6th, William Byron comes home 12th, and then Alex Bowman comes home 18th. So, pretty decent. They're getting there, but they just have to start running better. And
Right.
then, and once we're going to Talladega, we saw the Hendrick guys, run pretty well on the restrictor plate tracks, not only last year, but also in the Daytona 500 as well. And of course, Alex Bowman, he had a good shot at finishing in the top 5 until he got caught up in that big wreck. And then, William Byron got caught up in the wreck early in the race along with Johnson as well. But you look at Hendrick, I really think this is the team that I think they could probably rebound sometime soon. I mean, it is still early, but, now they're starting to gain some speed, but they just have to start, running better, and they got to keep continuing running that performance every single week.
You're absolutely right. And the other team I was very impressed with, and they put 3 of their drivers in the top echelon, is Gibbs. Joe Gibbs Racing is really putting it on. Obviously, Kyle Busch winning the race, Hamlin finishing 3rd, and then you go down to Suarez. I mean, what a fantastic run for this team.
Yeah.
And Eric Jones not far behind them in 13th. You said, and I agree with you, that the season looks like it's going to be the Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick show, but let's call it what it really is. This is going to be JGR versus Stewart Haas. 2018 is just shaping up to be these are your giants. There's no more one-party system like Hendrick was for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
These 2 teams, one in a Toyota, one in a Ford, are setting the pace for everything else. And yes, you can point to Truex in a Toyota, but that's a one-car team. You can point to Dillon in a Chevrolet, but RCR isn't the RCR it was even 10 years ago. And, of course, Clint Boyer running for Stewart Haas has already won a race this season. So 6, 7 of the 9 races have been won by either Gibbs or Stewart Haas. Yeah. That's unprecedented, my friend. That I don't think I've ever seen 2 teams just as dominant as these 2 teams are.
Absolutely. You talk about Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Those are the only 2 drivers that have already won races so far. And, you look at all the other guys, Boyer's already won a race. And then Hamlin, he hasn't won a race just yet. But the only big question is we're just going to have to find out, how many races Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are going to win before the start of the playoffs.
6 each. That's my guess. 6 each. And I will make another bold prediction, another bold Chase Elliott prediction like I did last week. Matt Kenseth will find victory lane coming back before Chase Elliott finds victory lane.
I agree.
That's it. All right, so let me run down the Toyota Owners 400 grid. It was Kyle Busch coming home in 1st, Chase Elliott 2nd, Denny Hamlin 3rd, Joey Logano 4th, Kevin Harvick 5th, Jimmy Johnson came home in 6th, Kyle Larson 7th, Brad Keselowski 8th, Clint Boyer 9th, and Daniel Suarez rounds out your top 10. Kurt Busch was 11th, and that guy led a lot of laps, 98 laps. What a run for him. Yeah. I'm just going to go through the top 20. This is probably the best top 20 we've seen in a long time. William Byron 12th, Eric Jones 13th, Martin Truex Jr. 14th, Austin Dillon 15th, Matt DiBenedetto 16th, Eric Almirola 17th, Alex Bowman 18th, Jamie McMurray 19th, and Ty Dillon rounds out the top 20. Really, when you go down the list of the notables, these are just bad day Jones right here. Ryan
Yeah.
Blaney, 22nd. Ricky Stenhouse, 23rd. Darrell Wallace, 25th. Allmendinger, 27th. Casey Kane, 29th. Daniel Hemrick in his debut finished 32nd. I didn't see him get into too much trouble, but I didn't see him bringing a lot of speed to the table.
No, not at all. I mean, I really thought, he was going to be fast, but, again, this is his first Cup start. And, of course, 32nd, I could probably say, fair enough, but I really want to see how he does in the second race, which is going to be at the Roval at Charlotte in October.
Okay, yeah, good call. I mean, and to have that amount of time between your two Cup starts, it's going to give him a lot to think about, a lot to study, and a lot to learn. I'm sure he picked up a whole heck of a lot driving with the best of the best this past weekend at Richmond on the Cup Series.
Yep.
But he can learn from those mistakes, and he can transfer that down to the Xfinity Series, put together a real good run. Because if I go back to this little piece of paper right here with the standings, Hemrick's in 4th place. He's only 40 points out of the lead. All you need is a win to get in, or run good enough to be at the upper crust, because I don't think there's going to be 16 different or 12 different. I think it's 12 in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
You're not going to get 12 different race winners this year. So Hemrick's got a chance to either sneak in by points or just bludgeon his way into the playoff picture by winning a race on the Xfinity Series. You just came away driving with the best of the best. Take what you learned and make something happen. Now, to make us feel like idiots, I give you our picks from Richmond. I picked Ryan Blaney as my lock. I picked Alex Bowman as my sleeper, and I picked Bubba Wallace and Daniel Hemrick as my hopefuls. Wah, 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 wah. Corey had Larson as his lock. He had Hemrick as his sleeper, and he had Bubba Wallace as his hopeful. Again, I told you we were going to have Einstein on one side, Forrest Gump on the other. And that's all I've got to say about that. So here's your points breakdown in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Kyle Busch still leads the way with 415. Joey Logano second with 359. Clint Boyer third with 329. Kevin Harvick fourth, 324. Brad Keselowski is fifth with 303. Denny Hamlin sixth with 286. Martin Truex Jr. seventh with 284. Ryan Blaney is in eighth with 282 and a virtual tie with Kurt Busch, who is in ninth, also at 282. Kyle Larson 10th at 279. Again, the first notable I'm going to bring up is Jimmy Johnson, 15th. He has moved up. He's not in that dismal 23 spot anymore, but you don't expect to have Jimmy Johnson and 15th in the same sentence.
Not at all. I mean, I at this point, we would have saw him like in the top 10 or in the top 5 at this point. But, yeah, being in 15th, I mean, it is surprising. But then yet again, he's in the playoffs as of right now. If the playoffs would have started today, but, he would have been starting in that 15th spot. But, as of right now, he's only have like 3 top 10s and 1 top 5 this season. So not really as bad, but, this team could run a lot better.
Absolutely. Let me get a couple more notables in before we get our happies and sads in. William Byron, 16th. Ryan the Bum Newman, 17th. Chase Elliott, 20th. Oh, man, this kid. And I'm just going to end it off with Bubba Wallace in 22nd. Going back to the Richmond race, what were your happy? What was your sad?
All right, so first I want to break it down in Xfinity. So the Xfinity race, we all know my sad was Daniel Hemrick, and, he cut down a tire, a few laps down, so forth. My happy on Friday was Austin Cindric. To come home top 5 in the Xfinity race, driving the 22 car, this kid, I'd probably say he's starting to figure out the Xfinity series pretty well. As long as he starts finishing in the top 5, could possibly sneak in with a win sometime soon in the second half of the season. I'll be very impressed by it as well. And now going to Saturday, my happy, and I'm going to have to go with a surpriser on this one. My happy is going to be Matt Benedetto. Comes home
Nice.
16th, driving in the 32 car. And also, here's a little bit of Matt Benedetto news. So I don't know if you saw this, but he actually revealed his throwback paint scheme for the Southern 500 at Darlington Labor Day weekend. And he is going to drive a throwback of Jeff Burton's X-Side mobile paint scheme back from like 2000 when he was driving in the Southern 500 one time. And if you didn't see this car, it looks just like the Jeff Burton car back from like the 2000s whatsoever. And the guys from like Go Fast Racing did a really good job, designing it and so forth. So Matty D, congrats on getting another top 15 finish. Keep on, keep pounding, my friend.
Absolutely.
And then my sad is definitely going to have to be Martin Truex Jr. He led most of the race, could have had a shot to win if he hadn't had that bad pit stop right at the end. And I probably say, like, once he had that bad pit stop, I knew he wasn't going to get back up to the front, and he lost a lot of track position too. And but they only have like one win this season, so I'm not really too worried about him. They got a lot of more races to go, and I think they're going to still run good.
Absolutely. Going to the Xfinity Series, I'll start with the happy. You can't be any happier than you can be for Noah Gragson. Again, impressive. Drove the wheels off, had a shot to win, looked really, really good. My sad, I'm going to mimic yours, is Daniel Hemrick. Not the best day for him on the Xfinity Series, but again, tomorrow's another day. You're a young kid. You have room to learn. On the Cup side, I've had trouble picking what my happy was going to be, but if I had to flip a bunch of coins and really put something out there, I'm going to have to go with sixth place, Jimmy Johnson. My hand is slowly coming off the panic button. He's starting to show fire again, whereas for a few weeks there, Jimmy Johnson seemed like Morgan Shepherd style field filler. He gets out there, he wrecks the car, he's in the garage. Last couple races though, Jimmy Johnson's come on strong, and this is the Jimmy Johnson you want to race against. And if you can beat Jimmy at his best, then you prove that you are the best. I'm gonna have to go with Ryan Blaney for my sad. This is a guy I picked to win the race. He came up on tracks just like this and amounted to not a whole lot this weekend, unfortunately. So that's it for me. So let's move forward to Talladega. What are the races on tap for us this weekend?
All right, so we're going to start off with the Xfinity race Saturday. It is going to be the Sparks Energy 300. It'll be on 3 o'clock Eastern time on Fox. And if you're out and about somewhere, if you have XM radio, it'll be on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90, which will also have Motor Racing Network. Will be covering the races down there this weekend. So looking at the entry list, this is kind of a shocker. No Cup drivers are going to be in the field this weekend. And I pretty much said, there had to be one. But so I'm going to read down the list of entries of the guys that are going to be running the Cup cars. Well, the guys that are running the Cup drivers' cars this weekend before I get to the other notables. So Shane Lee is going to be in the 3 car. So he's going to make his second start for Richard Childress Racing. Noah Gragson will be back in the 18 car, driving his second straight Xfinity race at Talladega. Austin Cindric is going to be driving the 22 car for Team Penske. And John Hunter Nemechek is going to be back in the 42 car this weekend for Chip Ganassi. So other notables, you will have Cole Custer in the 00. You will have Elliott Sadler in the 1, Matt Tifft in the 2, Rod Chastain in the 4, Justin Allgaier, Tyler Reddick, who won at Daytona back in February, Ryan Truex, Joe Nemechek, who has had so much success at Talladega a couple of years, Ryan Reed, Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell coming off the win at Richmond, Daniel Hemrick, Spencer Gallagher, Kaz Gralla, Joey Gase, Alex LeBay, Chad Fincham, David Starr, Stephen Light, Ty Majeski in the 60 car, Spencer Boyd, and of course Chase Briscoe will be driving in the 98 car for Stuart Haas Racing, Beyond G, DeBency Racing this weekend.
Wow. Nice lineup.
Thank you.
Now, who are you taking as your lock and who are you taking as your sleeper?
All right. So my locks and my sleepers, I have them lined up really well. For both in the Xfinity race and in the Cup race. So okay. I'm gonna start off with Xfinity. Mm-hmm. So my lock this weekend, I'm gonna go with the guy, who has run pretty well at Daytona and Talladega the last couple of years. He's won at Talladega before driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. So my lock this weekend, I'm going to go with Elliott Sadler. I really think this is going to be the weekend where he could possibly pull off the win. And especially, the fact that he runs at Talladega and Daytona really well. And also in February, he got beat by his teammate, Tyler Reddick, by like 0.000 of a second. I can't even really describe it, but I really think this is going to be the weekend where Elliott Sadler is going to win a race, and I hope that he can pull it off this weekend. So my sleeper, I'm also going to go with a guy. Let's see. I'm going to go with a guy that has had a little bit of success. He's won a race in the Truck Series. He's run decent on the restrictor plate tracks. I'm going to go with the 24 Kaz Gralla.
Wow. Okay.
So I really think that if he stays out of the big wreck, and he can stay in the top 10, or if he gets in the top 10 by the end of the day, I think he has a shot. And let's not forget, Gralla won a Daytona back in February in the Truck Series, and he stayed out of trouble most of the night. So, Kaz from Westboro, Massachusetts, I'm pulling for you, and go get yourself a top 5, hopefully.
New England strong, kid. Bring it on. Well,
That's right.
For a lot of the same reasons that you brought out, I also have Elliott Sadler as my lock. Going back to his days in the 38 car on the Cup Series, he was electric at the restrictor plate races. He's a guy that is a veteran. He can wheel his way around anything. And the fact that when you look at these standings, he is at the top. Last year, he was at or near the top all season long until I believe it was the last race of the season where William Byron edges him out and wins the championship. So Sadler not only is an intelligent pick, it's an easy pick, but that's not why I went with him. I didn't go for the easy. I went with the intelligent. You have to look at a guy that knows how to wheel around that track to avoid the big wrecks and who can get to victory lane, and that's Elliott Sadler. I'm going with momentum with my sleeper. I'm going with Christopher Bell. Not quite sure what his record is on the 2.66 mile speedway in Talladega. What I do know about Christopher Bell is he hates to lose.
Yeah.
And that is a place where if you hate to lose, you have everything to gain. You can get up front. I remember watching guys like Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the master at Talladega. Those are guys that hate to lose. And once they get up front, they're not letting it go. The old rumor was that Dale Earnhardt could see the air around the car at Talladega and would find the best drafting partner, utilize them for 10, 12 laps, and then drive right past them, telling them, kiss my butt goodbye. All you're going to be seeing is my taillights for the rest of the race. So Christopher Bell is carrying a lot of momentum. Again, the momentum is important.
It really is.
So one of my favorite races of the year, and I'm going to make an announcement right here. Sunday, at the request of the Eternal Flame and the Goddess of Love sitting upstairs, I'm going to do something I haven't done since the 2008 Daytona 500. A little backstory. My daughter was born on February 15th, 2008. 2 days later was the 2008 Daytona 500. I'm in my easy chair. I've got my little 7-pound peanut in my hand. She's got her little Kevin Harvick bib on. I've got my little Kevin Harvick t-shirt. Well, it wasn't little. I was smaller then, but still an extra large. And we watched Ryan Newman wheel his way to a victory. Back then, I was happy for him. Today, Ryan Newman, you're a bum. That was also the last race I can remember sitting down and watching where I didn't have a frosty, tasty beverage in my hand. Yes, the Talladega race this weekend, Sunday, the Cup race, will be 1,000% beer, whiskey, anything that resembles alcohol, not even happening. It's going to be sweet tea, juice, water, etc. Because I gave up soda recently. So here it comes, man. I'm going full sober Jones on this one. I know you're looking at me like I got 3 heads right now. Like, wait. Chris said this? Yes, Chris said this.
Yeah,
100%. I'm calling it the alcohol-free 500, and I'll let you know how it goes, guys. But what is the name of the race? And remember, this is the Cup Series. Lock, sleeper, hopeful.
All right, so the Sunday race is going to be the Geico 500, 2 o'clock Eastern time on Fox. And if you're out and about, Sirius XM Radio, Channel 90, NASCAR Radio, which will have Motor Racing Network. That'll take over for this weekend. So looking at the entry list this weekend, you have pretty much the same old guys as always. You know, you have actually one new one, which we'll get down to in our last segment. Let's see. Jamie McMurray, who has won at Talladega before. Brad Keselowski, who's won at Talladega. Austin Dillon, who's won the Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick, who's won at Talladega. Trevor Bayne, who won the 2011 Daytona 500. Chase Elliott, you know, whose dad has had success on the super speedway tracks. Eric Almirola, Denny Hamlin, Talladega winner Ryan Blaney, who has success in the 500, Ty Dillon, Clint Boyer, Boyer, who's won at Talladega, and then Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the defending winner of this race, who won the Talladega last spring. Kyle Busch looks to go 4 in a row this weekend. Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Paul Menard, Joey Logano, who's won at Talladega, William Byron, who's coming into Dega as a rookie, Ryan Newman, Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher, David Reagan, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace in the 43, AJ Allmendinger, Jimmy Johnson, who's won at Talladega. Cole Custer will be making his second Cup Series start, driving the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing. Brendan Gaughan, who's going to be in the 62 car. Martin Truex Jr., Alex Bowman, who's going to be a one to watch this weekend. Casey Kane in the 95, DJ Kennington, and also the guy that'll be making his Cup Series debut on Sunday, driving the 92 car for Ricky Benton Racing, is going to be none other than Timothy Peters.
Wow.
The driver from Providence, North Carolina, is going to be making his Cup Series debut. So, Timothy, we wish you the best of luck. And all I can just say is that 92 car is going to be a one to watch if he can stay out of the big wreck and if he can run the top 10. We might see him near the front, before the race is over.
Excellent. Good luck. Good luck, Timothy, man. Good. Go get him.
All right.
So let's hear those picks, my friend.
All right. So my lock, I have this one all figured out. So I'm going to go with the guy that is run good on the super speedways, that has won races in the Xfinity Series at Daytona and Talladega. I'm going to go with the 10 of Eric Almirola. And
wow.
I think, and this is actually kind of a shocker for you guys, so you guys are all probably wondering, like, why are you picking Almirola? So go back to the Daytona 500 in February. He was a half a lap away from winning it until he got spun out by Austin Dillon. And then you look at his success on the restrictor plate tracks. Let's not forget, he's won races in the Xfinity Series when he was driving for Beyond G, whatever it is. And then not to mention, he has a Cup win at Daytona when he was driving for the King, Richard Petty. So I really think this is the weekend where if Almirola can get up to the front, if he can avoid the big wreck, stay in the top 10 all day, I really think he has a shot to win it. So my sleeper pick, this is also going to be another surprise. So I'm going to go with the guy, that's had a little bit of decent success, not really like the best of success in his career. And I really think he could probably sneak up like right near the end. My sleeper is going to be none other than the 21 of Paul Menard.
Wow.
And the reason being is that 21 car, whenever they're on the restrictor plate tracks at Daytona, Talladega, they're known for being fast. And let's not forget, they won the Daytona 500 in 2011 with Trevor Baynes. So I really think that 21 car is going to be fast. And not to mention, if anybody's going to win the race down there this weekend, you're going to have to beat the Fords, because that's what they've done not only in the Daytona 500, but what also they did the last 4 restrictor plate races last season. Now, my hopeful, now I'm going to go with the guy. This one's going to be a little bit of a tough one. So I'm going to go with a guy where, he's run a little bit decent, could probably use a win as of about now. I'm going to go with the one of Jamie McMurray.
Wow.
Now, I really think that one, he could use a win this weekend, and he's run well in the restrictor plate tracks before. So I really think, and another one too, if he could stay out of the big wreck and run in the top 10 all day, I think he'll also have a shot to win it as well.
Well, repeat the pick again.
For hopeful?
Yes.
All right, hopeful is going to be Jamie McMurray.
That's right, Jamie Mack. Okay.
Yep.
For some reason, much like when I watch him race, you said Jamie Mack, and I immediately forgot about him. Sorry, Jamie. Nothing personal. All right. See, mine's going to look a little different. I went with, veterans. My lock. Oh, man. It's becoming – doing this show with you, it has made me get that magnanimous side that I really don't like to bring out. And I have to say nice things about drivers I don't necessarily like. So I went with someone who may not have the momentum of Kyle Busch, but has had upward momentum for the last few weeks. And if there's one place that he's going to break his winless streak, it is going to be this Sunday. A 48 of Jimmy Johnson is my lock. Now,
okay,
my sleeper, I went with a Ford because, like you said, it's a Ford world right now.
Yeah.
You also have to throw Toyota in the mix with the Kyle Busches, the MTJs. But I'm going with Brad Keselowski, another guy who's had a little bit of bad luck in the beginning of the season, has had an uptick so far.
Yeah.
And, Brad Kes is one to watch. Every time he gets on a super speedway, you can't count him out. My hopeful for many different reasons, one of which is in the last few races I've watched, marked improvement for this young gentleman. I want to see Daniel Suarez get to victory lane. And again, usually last year at Talladega when we were in the playoffs, I made my pick for my lock of the field.
Yeah.
Because anybody can win this race at any time. Like you said, avoid the big one. Avoid having too many troubles on pit road. Stay out of, making stupid mistakes, and you can win at this track. Something tells me Daniel Suarez is going to win sooner than later. And
Yeah.
I really want it to be this weekend. It'd be great to see that 19 pull into victory lane, have him be, if I'm not mistaken, only the second foreign-born driver to win a Cup Series race.
Yeah.
Who was the first?
I want to say it was Montoya.
JPM, my friend, absolutely.
Yeah.
The king of the jet dryers. I love that guy.
Yes.
All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way and we are back on Wednesday night, at least for this week, it feels like home again. I feel complete. Everything is wonderful. Do you have anything you want to plug before we bid adieu to these fine, fine people?
All right, so Facebook, continue to follow me on NASCAR IndyCar Central. We post up results and news and standings, whatever I tend to do mostly. So if you're a NASCAR fan, please follow. Instagram, go to NASCAR IndyCar. That's where I'm at. Twitter, I am at NASCAR Indy. So my next team meeting for the prison retreat is going to be on Saturday, and I have to tell you this, guys, it's going to be an all-day one. So I just had my talk written out this week, so I'm going to be bringing that this weekend. So there may be a little bit of workshop change if they decide, what I should put in, or what I should leave out and so forth. But we'll figure that all out by next week. And then also, I also want to give a shout out to Julia Lawless. I don't even know, I can't pronounce the last name right, but I actually mentioned her about the show yesterday, and I told her, and I said, well, I do a show on Wednesday night. Well, usually Wednesday or Thursday nights, depending on schedule wise and so forth. So Julia, if you're watching this, we want to say welcome. And so she's not that much into NASCAR, but she wants to try out new things whatsoever. So if you do tend to follow a driver, it's not too late to pick one as of now. There's drivers in the Cup Series, Xfinity, or in the Truck Series, to choose from. There's a lot of young drivers and so forth. So Julia, just want to give you a little shout out. I hope you enjoy the show. And also, I also want to give a congratulations to Joseph Newgarden. He won the IndyCar race this past weekend. Well, actually, this past Monday down in Alabama. And so, Joseph, if you're still watching this as of right now, if you still want to go up to NASCAR, if you're still interested, again, we will welcome you in open arms, and just keep on winning in Penske, and hopefully ask Roger if you can get a NASCAR ride sometime soon.
Take the 22, please. Take the 22.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway,
on a road course.
Yes, let Joey have the weekend off.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I want to pimp once again. You can see behind my head the Loki Jabroni Show, the number one podcast in New England for any topic you can think of. We are the best. I am humble when I say that. We are the best. We have the best hosts. We have the best producer. We have the best fans, other than C+J Speedway Review. Just simply the best. Like Tina Turner sang about us years ago, we are simply the best. The reason I mention that podcast is go to our Facebook page, and right at the top of the page, pinned to the top, is something called Team World Vision. We are raising money, or helping to raise money, for Chad Hatfield, a friend of the show, both shows, and a personal friend of mine. Team World Vision is out there to bring clean water to countries that do not have access to clean water. But as an added bonus, when you donate, you're also helping Chad get to New York this November to run the New York City Marathon, the biggest marathon in the country. And I wish him all the best. We usually do an April fundraiser every year. I'm going to keep that up on the page until Chad reaches his goal and exceeds it. And our listeners, whether you're on the L&J show or C&J show, get out there, throw a couple bucks at them. Don't even tell them. You want to tell them we sent you? That's great. The best thing you can do is just donate money. Help
Yeah.
people who don't have access to clean water be able to live happy, healthy lives, and help out this great God-fearing human being named Chad Hatfield. Beyond that, the only thing I have to pimp is basically the Loki and Jabroni show this Tuesday night. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a special co-host because Loki won't be here. So we're going to have world-renowned, at least in my mind, master of everything. He is one of my best friends on earth. His name is Chris Lynch. You may know him on Facebook or Twitter as Strikers McLynch. Funny guy, salt of the earth. He's my daughter's godfather. He is one of my voices of reason. He's just a real great guy, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Chris and I can do together in Mike's absence. We all know what the two of us can do together here for 152 episodes.
Yeah.
But now we're going to have Chris sitting in the co-host chair. He's going to be kind of the Ed McMahon of the situation. So let's see how that goes. If you're too young to remember Ed McMahon, you may as well just turn this off now. Go to your Google machine, look up Ed McMahon, come back. Welcome back. How are you? It's not too late, guys, and especially to you, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us and looking into our little humble show. You have 2 weeks left to get in on the Speed Crate contest. If this is your first time hearing about it, what is the Speed Crate contest? If you are either a subscriber to the YouTube channel or you like our Facebook page, your name is going into the bucket of gimmicks. I will pull a name. Then you have an opportunity to answer 3 rapid-fire NASCAR questions. I don't know how we're going to do it. I would like to figure out the logistics. Maybe Eddie will add them to the Google Hangout.
Yeah.
But if your name is drawn, you are staring us dead in the eye. This is the firing squad. I want your hands where I can see them so I know you're not hitting the Google machine and going, oh, yeah, the race at Watkins Glen in 1989 was won by Rusty Wallace. No, I want it to come from here, not from here. You answer those 3 questions, you won yourself a free Speed Crate. If you don't, we move on to the next name. We are going to get ourselves someone to win this contest. And believe me, this great shirt came from Speed Crate.
Yeah.
You can see the flag right above me right here came from Speed Crate. The pennant that is obscured behind this cutout of Kevin Harvick came from Speed Crate. The shirt I wore last week, it's one of my favorite shirts now. The Kevin Harvick 3 in a row, all the supporters and all the haters I see you shirt, that came from Speed Crate. Fantastic gig.
Yeah.
If you want to get one for your own, go to speedcrate.co. It's $30 a month. They give you minimally $50 worth of gear. This month, I think I got $60 worth of gear. I'm still waiting for a hat. I love hats. I have many hats. This is a new hat right here. If I see a hat or a T-shirt I like, I go out and get it. Now I don't have to because this is what Speed Crate is doing for me. It's sending me gear, and I love it. And the more racing swag I get, the better I am. I feel great. But it's not too late to get into this contest. If Corey and I weren't co-hosting this show, I'd put us in the contest. But then again, I just subscribed to Speed Crate, so I can't do it.
Right.
And Corey, you should subscribe to Speed Crate.
Yeah, I'm actually looking into it. You know, it sounds pretty interesting. You know, it has like all the driver's gear and whatnot, and it definitely looks fun.
And I think maybe at the end of the year, what we should do is you and I throw $20 into a hat, you and I, and for Christmas we'll get producer Eddie Focus his own one-time only Jimmy Johnson Speed Crate, so he can have some gear. I see him shaking his head in the box. The man in the box saying, "No, you don't get to tell us what we do with our money, Jack. Free society, man. It's called what I do. Individual liberty. There you go. We win." Anywho, for Corey, for Eddie, I'm Chris. Corey, do you want to say anything to the kids before we go?
All I can just say is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you've never seen a race at Talladega on TV or you've never seen one live, you're in for one hell of a show, not only on Saturday, but on Sunday. And you're going to be on the edge of your seat. And trust me, guys, Talladega is like literally my favorite race of the year. You know, everybody's all drafting at 200 miles an hour, like 2-3 wide whatsoever. And we're bound to see a lot of great things that you've never seen before at Talladega. But I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just can't wait to see, like, you know, how many guys can avoid the big wreck, and not to mention how many guys can finish on the lead lap, because I think there was one time where I think there was only like 7 or maybe 10 cars that finished on the lead lap. I think it was like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year, the year before, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that,
Now,
I'm looking forward.
Go ahead.
But other than that, I'm looking forward. So.
Real quick hit. Well, I know you can't have it's wrong to say favorite, but most memorable big one at Talladega.
Oh, most memorable big one. This is kind of a tough one. I probably have to go to last year, where it was like near the end of the race, where everybody was all like, where one checked up and then everybody was like all crashing in between. But not only the big wreck happened a year ago, but there were also a lot of other crashes that took a lot of people out of contention. And, but other than that, I think it's going to be fun this weekend. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, absolutely. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go way back in time to, I believe it was 96 or 97. The big one starts. Ricky Craven goes airborne, hits the catch fence, comes back, rolls over the top of Bill Elliott's car, and lands on all 4 tires. Craven is unhurt. The car's a wreck. He can't drive it again. It's not like one of those Dale Sr. moments where he goes, does the engine start? Well, I'm driving it. The heck with it. No, Craven went for a roller coaster ride from hell and lived to tell about it. And that guy, wow, I thought he was dead. I really did. I still see vividly the fold out in Sports Illustrated with his car tumbling nose down on the top of Bill Elliott's car after bouncing off the catch fence. And guys, that footage is on YouTube. Go check it out.
It is.
Just a hairy crash. But yeah, that crash you're talking about, I get shudders at Talladega, because the minute someone gets squirrely, I tense up. I'm like, oh God, here it comes. The last few years, though, what has happened is they run so conservatively, and I think the stage racing has a lot to do with that in the last year. They run so conservatively that now the big one's not going to happen until the 3rd stage.
Yeah, because that's what everybody's going for at that point.
Exactly. Gloves are off, helmets are off, boots are off. They're just going full bore to the end. And again, I think you're going to see in that last 100 and change laps, that's when the big one's going to hit. I just hope everybody comes out of it safe. I hope everybody enjoys the race, whether you're there live or you're watching on your televisions. And Corey, I hope you have a good time on Saturday. And if they get computer access, feel free to tell them to watch.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
All right. Good night.